This is the Astrology for July 28 until 31. My name is Joseph Benner, and this is an update on the current transits that are affecting us collectively right now. And for this time, you have, at the end of July, now another shit show transit. It's a minor transit, but it's the beginning of a cascade of events that are all about a specific theme. And the topic is communication. The problem is projection, misunderstanding, and an inability to communicate without severe negative consequences. Because we have a yacht, which is so-called finger of God, on Mercury, as it is now in retrograde, in Virgo, and it will go back into Leo, where it will sit for the duration of a whole month, as it sits around a particular configuration in a very, very difficult spot. And this is why some of you people have experienced the last week of July to be a week filled with communication blockages or fears, paranoias, feeling like you're walking on eggshells, like everything you say can and will be used against you. And that is really the theme of this current transit. Now, why is that? First of all, you have to understand what a yod is. And second, you have to understand what it is on Mercury. Now, for me personally, this is a very interesting transit because I am born with a yod on Mercury. And now you have to join me to be tortured with me together. So take a seat, because this yacht is going to bring you a lot of problems, especially because its ruling sign is currently occupied by Mars and Jupiter in Gemini. And these two are making a conjunction until the end of August. So there will be lots of fighting, lots of conflicts, lots of disagreements, people just using words against each other to try to win the upper hand. Arguments based on the ego, which is trying to assert itself to dominate the other person. And other people who are not looking to dominate others, they will be the ones on the defensive, feeling like you have to defend yourself all the time, justify your actions, explain yourself, and no matter what you say, doesn't really matter. Because chances are the other person doesn't care about how you say it. All they care about is that you're saying something that they're not willing to hear. And you can of course find yourself on the opposing spectrum, where you are the one who's not really looking at the present, kind of operating on a past pattern that is now repeating itself, a karmic loop. And we have to really investigate this karmic loop that we are in collectively now when Mercury is in retrograde, in the determined sign, in a yacht, in a square with Neptune, with its depositor being in a very volatile position. All that fire of Mars and Jupiter is going to lead to a lot of explosions. A lot of words that you're thinking, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but fuck it, I'm gonna say it anyways. Because there is faith, there's belief that even though your words could destroy everything in your path, somehow it's still gonna work out for you. Maybe it will. And Jupiter is in detriment. Your optimism may not really lead you towards the success that you're looking for, at least not immediately. But if you can investigate what the issue is, what's the lesson? Why is this happening? What am I supposed to do to heal my communication? How am I supposed to do to get people to stop being so defensive, stop being so triggered, stop being so easily offended? What do I do? That is the question you have to ask with these transits. Of course, for everybody, it can happen individually in a bit of a different way. But overall, this is the transit in a nutshell. So let's explain a little astrology lesson. If you don't know what a yacht is a very rare alchemical configuration which creates a triangle between Mercury and two other planets. And as Mercury is the apex planet, it creates a lot of tension. For example, if you have Mercury at 29 degrees in Leo, which it will be at the end of July, this is making a certain hard aspect with two other planets which are also around 29 degrees. And if that happens, it means those planets do not like what Mercury is doing. They don't approve. It's like you have parts inside yourself that say, you know what, I think that part of me is a bit of a loose cannon, is a bit of a problem. You look at it like the black sheep. Yeah? The yacht is the black sheep, and the other people are like the parents, saying, stop doing that. We don't like it. And this creates so much tension on the black sheep that the black sheep becomes frozen. It gets stuck. It becomes rigid. It becomes metastasized like a cancerous tumor. Yeah? A black sheep suffering from cancer. It's the scapegoat. It's the typical situation of I'm being blamed for simply moving, for simply doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, what am I supposed to be doing here? I'm kind of in a no-win situation. I'm in a Kafka trap. I'm in a double bind. I can't move, so why you complain if I move? Like, what the hell? Should I just die? Right? Should my communication just play dead? Should I just be a zombie and hold everything back and silence myself like the silence of the lambs? That's what we're asking each other, whether we are aware of it or not. During this transit, it's going to be triggered for you in one way or another, even if it's minor. Now, looking at this yacht, Mercury is forming a yacht with Pluto, because Pluto is at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Both Mercury and Pluto are in retrograde. And Mercury is making this triangle also with Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. So Pluto and Neptune are the parents that are trying to tell Mercury to shut down, to stay quiet, to stop talking. And Mercury is entering retrograde at the exact time that its conjunction Regulus, the heart of the lion. And the heart of the lion is about courage. We need courage to speak. We need a lot of strength to overcome the fear of saying something that we know is going to have severe consequences. So this could be a time of negotiation, time of arguments, a time where you are entering a contract and you're looking at the fine details, being like, oh my God, should I really do this? Should I really sign up for this? I'm not sure. Let me find more information before I take action. So it can also be indecisiveness. Mercury overthinks. Mercury overanalyzes. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I shouldn't sign that. So, Pluto is about power, control, finances. So maybe money is involved. Maybe you are risking the disapproval of your boss, your colleagues, your co-workers, your clients, your customers. You're saying something that is causing havoc, that can have negative consequences on your coin purse. At the same time, because Neptune is involved, Neptune can be confusion. I don't know what's real. Projections. People assume that you're saying something when actually you're saying something else. And they get extra defensive, preparing themselves for a situation that doesn't even exist. So we are not really thinking things clearly. Maybe we can see what's going on, but somebody is being in denial. Somebody is just avoiding accountability. So no matter what you say, chances are the cluster B types, the avoidance, the narcissists, they are hiding, they're gaslighting you, right? Neptune square Mercury, it's a gaslighting aspect. And Mercury in retrograde, if you ever want to see gaslighting running in families, just look at people who have Mercury retrograde in their natal chart. They can tell you all about gaslighting. Maybe they're even gaslighting themselves and they're not aware just how much lying and manipulating and scheming is going on. And it seems like no matter what they do, if they tell the truth, it will be used against them. So they would rather not share anything, right? They would rather be frozen. And that's the situation we have here. Now, what do we do about this aspect? How do we handle a yacht like this? Simple. Don't freeze. Don't do what it wants you to do. Imagine somebody's trying to torture you and force you into submission. And your job is to not submit. I mean, really, to state the obvious. You are asked to be quiet. Mercury likes to talk. Mercury in a yacht feels very bad about talking. Like, do I manipulate, people please, so they shut the fuck up, so they leave me alone? Do I stay quiet about what I'm seeing? Or do I speak up and risk retribution? Risk retaliation? Because it's gonna happen with a yacht. And I want to take a little bit of a moment to share my personal experience with a yacht Mercury in my chart. What is it like when that aspect is trying to wreak havoc in your thinking, in your speaking? Well, it's like I have to think about what I say a little bit too much. And when you know you're thinking a little bit too much, about what does it mean? Are they gaslighting me? Are they hiding accountability? Are they being in denial? Are they being passive-aggressive? I wonder if I'm seeing things right. Or if I'm delusional and I'm projecting and actually they are my friends. Or are they not my friends? Are they actually playing with me? Playing mind games? And you're wondering all the time, what the hell is going on? Why is communication so difficult? Every time I say what I think, something bad happens. It's like my words, they're like dynamite. Like, you know, you're handling dynamite and you're juggling that dynamite and you're like, but this word will destroy it, this sentence will destroy it, this sentence will destroy it. Is there a sentence in which I don't lose? Chances are, if you want to be authentic, no. You will lose if you are being real. You will lose the job. You will lose the relationship. You will lose the client. You will lose the contract. You will lose, because the yacht is about something urgent. Something that requires your immediate attention because it's very severe. There's a danger here. You're under threat. You're walking on eggshells. You're trying to dodge the tripwires, not knowing what is going to happen next, but this is not the time to be rigid. This is the time to experiment. Say the thing that is taboo. Pull the trigger. Because if we don't pull the trigger on our communication, who's pulling you? Who's pulling your strings? Who's really in control here? And this yacht with Pluto will definitely show you that. That's why Pluto is part of its configuration. Because Pluto is about power games, mind games, secrets, and avoidance. Which is why, of course, I talk so much about these people, these lovely people, right? Because it's them who are mostly gaslighting, manipulating, they can't be honest with you. So chances are, if you are experiencing an avoidant person in your life, or if you're being avoidant yourself, maybe you're holding something back because you feel like, there's just no way I can say this. They're gonna get paranoid. They're gonna think I'm evil. They're gonna think I'm a troublemaker, and you don't want to burn that bridge. Well, it is recommended that you do burn those bridges, because I have had that yacht all my life. And I've been trying to avoid burning those bridges many times in my life, but I can tell you it doesn't work. There has been an observation in astrology that in World War II, during the Nazi regime, there was a handful of people in the German resistance that were trying to bring the German Reichskanzler down, who had a yacht. And every single person who had a yacht, they went crazy. They risked everything to fulfill the mission. And that's generally what happens. So if you're thinking outside the box, outside of just yourself and your little quarrels and disagreements, look at it from a cosmic perspective. What's really going on here? The bomb is about to be planted. So it's just a question of, when is it going to happen? When is it going to blow? Who's going to plant the bomb? Who's going to trigger the final countdown to reach its end? And boom! Right? So some boom has to happen. And the best thing to do is to be the trigger, the cause, the source of the boom yourself. Don't wait for things to blow up in your face. Do it yourself. Take charge. Because if you're not, you risk to be a passive bystander. Right? During Nazi World War II, we had lots of passive bystanders who were just looking at the conversation, just watching how people are thinking all those things, and you're not communicating, you're not doing anything, you're doing nothing, so nobody can blame you when things go wrong. Don't fall for it. We can't be innocent with a yacht. Those who are innocent are probably the cause of that yacht. So what causes a yacht is stress. Stress that is the result of lying, manipulating, and avoiding a problem. Imagine you know there is a problem, you want to talk about the problem, but you're not allowed to talk about it, right? You're just supposed to pretend that everything's fine, but everything is not fine. There is something that you need to say, and you probably know what it is. And it's not enough to just say it once. It's not enough to say it twice. But perhaps 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, however many times for this retrograde Mercury lasts. As it approaches from 1 degree, retrograding to, let's say, 25 degrees. So it's going to last for at least another week. This time, even if you do speak up, there will be more triggers to speak up again. So it's about breaking a pattern. This yacht is supposed to show you a pattern in which you are avoiding or blocking yourself. Once you remove that blockage and you allow yourself to speak, your mind will unravel. Your creativity will start to come online because it's in the sign of Leo. Leo is about inspiration. Saying what may start some drama, but because you do it intentionally, It's the drama that you're looking for. It's the self-expression. It's the poetry. It's the healing that allows you to be yourself, to be authentic, to be real, to be honest, to be direct. Because chances are that honesty and that creativity that you have is exactly the thing that they don't want to hear. So this is a time for radical creativity. Creativity that blows things up. And of course, that's my favorite type of creativity, because that's all I do on my channel. And this is why I have a yacht in my natal chart, in the 12th house. So it also depends what house it's placed in. For example, because I have a yacht in Mercury in the 12th house, I experience not being allowed to talk about it, about 12th house themes. Not being allowed to talk about people's unconscious. Not being allowed to talk about their shadows. Not being allowed to talk about their defenses, their coping mechanisms, their addictions, and their escapism, their denial. Because if I do talk about it, bad things happen. What happened to the German resistance, to all those people who had a yacht in their chart? They all died. They got killed. It's the witch at the stake. Remember, it's a scapegoat. Does the scapegoat get treated well? No, it does not. But it's still saying something that needs to be said. Now, what happens if the scapegoat doesn't say anything? If the scapegoat just looks at the transit and is like, I guess I'm just going to wait this transit out. Wait until it goes away, which is probably going to be around the new moon, around 5 to 8 of August. So then you are in the clear, right? Just wait for it to end. You don't have to burn those bridges. If you're waiting for it to end, the karma will come back in another form to haunt you later. This is the time to end the karma. This is the time for a new beginning. Mercury retrograde is about cleaning the problem up. Speaking what you should have said a long time ago, and now you're looking back and you're thinking, why didn't I say this before? What was holding me back? Ah, yes, burning those bridges. I was not ready to do that. Either you're ready to do it now, or you'll have to be ready to do it in the future. The choice is yours. And what is the reward for that? Because clearly, you're losing that money, you're losing those clients, you're losing those friends, you're losing that career. So what's the point? The point is to heal. Yes, to heal. Healing means letting go what is not you. Let me repeat this. Healing is to let go what is not you. If your words, which are you, cause what is not you to disappear, it's a win. Doesn't matter the material result. Those who are attached to the material outcome, well, it's not a problem to be attached to your material security, to the support of your friends, to your relationships. Everybody wants to survive and be surrounded by people that you can call your friends. That attachment is correct, healthy, and good. Anybody that tells you otherwise doesn't know what we're talking about, doesn't understand psychology. So I'm not telling you to let your attachments go. I'm telling you to examine your attachments and understand that they can be met elsewhere. Look at it as a scorpionic theme. A yacht is a plutonic theme. And what does Pluto do? Pluto dies and is reborn. So even if what you're holding on to gets lost, you will be rewarded with something to replace it. And if you're not being rewarded by the grace of the universe, because the universe doesn't give a shit about you, then you will be the one to give a shit about you, and you compensate for that. So the business owners, find a new client, find a new clientele. For people who have a lot of friends, find new friends. For people who are in a relationship, find a new relationship. I know this is easy to say. Not saying it's easy. If you're in a job and you're not in a position where you want to be and you need to speak up to talk about the abuse at the workplace, speak up. Get fired. At least you are trying to resolve the problem. Because if you don't, nobody's going to resolve it for you. It's just going to stay. You're going to stay in a swamp of stagnation. And when it blocks your creativity, it blocks your soul. And that is why you would be unhealed. Because you're allowing external circumstances to control you. Instead of taking control yourself. Be the cause, not the effect. You are the cause of the success in your life. You must realize that. And if you think, oh no, I don't want to lose that, I don't want to lose this, you're essentially admitting defeat. You are giving yourself a profoundly negative message that you are unable to recover. You are unable to heal. You are unable to regenerate. You are unable to get back what was lost. That means you are a passive, helpless bystander. And who the fuck wants to be that? Nobody. So this is really asking you to take action. Tension, stress. What's the meaning? I wonder why I feel so stressed. I wonder why this problem is repeating itself. Could it be a pattern? Could it be that maybe I should do something about it? Oh no, if I do something about it, things will get worse, and there will always be more problems to solve. That's true. But if you're not moving forward, then something will force you to move. Eventually. As it's forcing you now. And that's the whole point of a yacht. A yacht is something that happens, for example, in a natal chart, when for at least 3 generations, people refused to take action. People stayed in the comfort zone, in the safety. They refused to be the cause. They resigned to being the effect. They resigned to being a victim, to look for scraps like a scavenger. Or, which you can also use, like a parasite. Right? Let me stay hooked to this. Like an addiction. Like, I need this. I depend on this. I know it's toxic. I know it's a trauma bond. But blah, blah, blah. All kinds of reasons we come up to justify not changing. Because change is difficult. Change is painful. It hurts. And it's actually your nerves which could hurt at this time. You could feel irritated, stressed, annoyed. Like, you're thinking about it over and over again. What were we saying? What's going on? What are the consequences of my words going to be? Oh my God. It's all about taking action. Those who don't take action, well, the energy has to go somewhere. It goes into the head. So you get stuck in the head. Overthinking, procrastinating, worrying. These are symptoms of somebody who's not in control, who's not in charge. Because guess what? Overthinking and stressing and worrying, these are attempts of the body to take back control. But of course, just thinking about it isn't going to do anything. Strategizing, coming up with a better way to resolve the problem. I wonder if I just learn more about this, I will find another way to avoid disaster. No, you will not. And that's why I make this video. To remind you that it's not about avoiding disaster, it's about healing. So what does this mean? What do you mean healing? How do I heal for disaster? Very simple. It's about coming back to you. Coming back to what's really important. What do you value in your life? What do you want? Do you want to design your life in your way? Do you want to be seen? Do you want people to recognize what you're saying? Do you want people to look at you as somebody who is somebody? Not Ram Dass, nobody, right? When we are forced to be nobody, when we are forced to be passive, we are conforming. And we are submitting to the hive mind. We're submitting to the shadows of those who came before us. Those who refused to take action because they were only thinking about themselves. They were only thinking about their survival. They were stuck in their ego. They were controlled by the conditioning of society. They were controlled by the body. They were not in charge themselves. And what does it mean to be in charge? Does it mean that you become a controller? You become a narcissist? No. The narcissist inside of you, and we all have a little narcissist inside of us, the narcissist will tell you, see, now you're the evil person. Now you're bad. Now that you said this, you have proven that you are not to be trusted, you are unstable, you are dramatic, you are competitive, you are the aggressor, you are the drama, you are the problem. The narcissist inside of you will try to use shame to control you. That's society's lawyer. Society's lawyer is not on your side. You need to listen to your own lawyer. That voice inside of you that comes from intuition. Intuition is a good feeling. A feeling of, I'm curious. What would happen if I did this? I want to explore. I want to step outside of myself. I want to learn. I want to grow. And it feels good. Even if bad things happen. Your intuition knows the bad thing is going to happen. And your intuition still pulls you towards growth. And that is your lawyer. Now, society's lawyer doesn't want you to grow. Society's lawyer wants you to stay down, to stay frozen, to just don't act, don't be difficult, don't be the problem, don't be the scapegoat, just fall in line, cooperate, be nice. Society wants you to be a part of the hive mind. So it's not your ally. That shame that you're trying to avoid because you don't want to be a bad person is not your friend. That's the enemy. The enemy is within. And that's evil. That's the devil. That's the ego. That's the identity that tries to preserve itself, to maintain its status quo, to survive, because it is a controller. And it wants to stay in control forever. And to stay in control forever is to suppress you, to make you rigid, to make you stifled, to freeze you in a box, the Saturn box, the Matrix box, like a computer, like a program, like a loop, always repeating itself. Recognize the pattern, and you can break free. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of Mercury retrograde also. To step out of thinking about what could go wrong and step into what could go right if I said this. How does it benefit me? Why is it a good thing to listen to myself? To validate that little voice inside of me that wants change, that wants to rebel, as they say, right? where society labels you a rebel, a troublemaker, a daredevil, a narcissist, whatever they label you. It's all about control. And when you can feel that you're being controlled, you are being depressed. You are unhappy. You don't like the situation. You know that you are trapped. So it's like being in a prison. The prison guard tells you when to eat, when to get up, when to socialize, what to say, how to say it. Prison guard wants to maintain order. But the universe, while it is based on order, it also has an order of its own. But the prison guard wants to create an artificial order. An order where you are under observation. You are under the microscope. You are constantly judging yourself, analyzing yourself, wondering, should I have done that? Is this really me? Not sure. I guess I just submit, right? You become a slave. And that's what this matrix does, what this world does. It turns us into slaves, and this yacht shows you, how do I go? How is this working for me? Is this actually something that I want to keep doing? Or do I want to let go of this pattern? Am I ready to release it? How do I let go? But if I let go too much, everything goes to shit. I lose control. Oh my God, my ego is getting very uncomfortable. And that's when we have a fear of going insane. Now, people who have Mercury retrograde in their natal chart, people who have a yacht on Mercury, like me, the fear of going insane is there as a survival mechanism to make sure that you don't do anything that threatens your survival. Because an insane person is somebody who is dangerous, not to others, but to yourself. And you don't want to be dangerous to yourself, right? You don't want to be like a narcissist or a psychopath. So how do you reconcile this? Very simple. You recognize that there's a certain amount of danger that you can deal with, right? Like if anybody who has a business, they know that if they have to make boundaries with their clients, I can only make those boundaries if I'm willing to let them go. If I'm ready to not get paid. And if I know I'm going to survive, even if I lose this client. Only then can I make boundaries without feeling like a crazy person. Without feeling like I'm doing self-sabotage. The same applies to any situation. When you're with a friend or a relationship, you're thinking, when I say this, will the relationship die? Will I be okay? Can I allow myself to let go so I can allow myself to come forth to the front? So I'm no longer in the background, no longer covert, hidden, occult. It means I am ready to take responsibility for my actions. I'm ready to deal with the negative consequences. And that, my friends, it is to be an adult. An adult is the opposite of a crazy person. Somebody who is ready for the consequences, who knows what the consequences are, and who knows they're going to survive. That's a very strong and mature person. The complete antithesis to a narcissist or a psychopath, who don't care what's happening to them, who are driven only by impulses that they don't even understand. Instincts that are so primitive that they're just letting themselves get away with it because they don't care what happens to them. You are different because you do care. But even though you care, maybe because you care, you're willing to take the hit. Like Rocky Balboa It doesn't matter how many times life hits you, all that matters is that you can take it. A narcissist can't take it. A narcissist is the opposite of that. A narcissist is somebody who can only dish it out, but can't take it in. Right? A yacht is about taking the blow. It's not about dishing. It's about receiving. Receiving the consequences for right action. How do you know it's the right action? You don't. You don't need to know. All you need to do is to be ready and willing to pay the price of experimenting, of growing, of learning, which is something a narcissist is not ready to do. A narcissist will always shift the blame towards other people. A narcissist will always say, no, I'm a victim. The world is so bad to me and I shouldn't be treated like this. An adult person says, yeah, I had to say it. I had to pay the price for it. Was it worth it? Yes. Does it hurt? Yes. Do I like it? Maybe not. And yet I do it anyways. Why? Because growing is more important than immediate gratification, which is the only thing the narcissist is interested in. So you see, you're not crazy. You are on the path to healing. If you're watching this, you absolutely are, and it's becoming clear to you that the yacht isn't as difficult as it seems. But actually, all the stress that we're going through in communication, all the misunderstandings, they're not working against us, they're working for us. This is a time to heal. So, enjoy! Let all that distraction go down. And if you can't, then take it slow. Baby steps. Watch what happens. Does this immediately give me a good result? No. But just because it immediately doesn't give you what you want, doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it's wrong. To the narcissist, it means exactly that. To the narcissist and the avoidant, a bad reaction means that you're bad. Which is of course ridiculous. Which is of course what a shame disorder is based on. If you believe that just because somebody, something is giving you a negative response, that means that you are negative, automatically you're delusional. You're absolutely being played by your mind. Don't fall for it. Just because something bad is happening after you're doing something doesn't mean that you did something wrong. Why is the narcissist so defensive? Why is the narcissist so hell-bent on blaming you? Because he's trying to distract from himself, from his own guilt, from his own shame. Know that you reacted negatively, it can't be right. It can't be good. It must be because you are bad. If you react bad, you are bad. Right? It's called black and white thinking. If something bad happens, it must be a bad thing. Oh no, I can't be bad, so... It's like psychic dumping. It's a defense mechanism. It's primitive. It's childish. So you see, we humans, we have a tendency to be very childish in our response of how we deal with our problems. And when you can see the childishness inside of you, you can put an end to it. Because the tendency to sacrifice yourself on the altar to the narcissist god who says be rigid, be stifled, don't be a cause of negative things, is always there. And if a narcissist can't control themselves, they're going to control other people. Now the question is, are you trying to control other people? Are you trying at any cost to maintain that relationship? to maintain that job, to control that outcome? Is your grip on that outcome so firm that you are a controller? That's what the narcissist does. That's what everybody can do. So it's not about who's the narcissist, who's the psychopath. It's about recognizing, where am I self-sabotaging? Why am I self-sabotaging? And now that we talked about this yacht, we realize that also this Mars conjunction Jupiter transit is going to force some people to become more aggressive, more assertive, to shoot before you think and think afterwards. There's a tendency there, that's for sure. So it doesn't mean that you should stop thinking about your actions. You should just keep in mind that likely your actions are going to result in a fight, going to result in an argument, a negative, hostile reaction. War is being waged in communication for as long as Mars is conjunction Jupiter in Gemini. Why? Because Jupiter inflates the qualities of that sign. And Mars is about being defensive. Mars is about protection. Where do I need to protect myself? With words. Against words. How do I do that? So it's time we learn about communicating as adults. And we stop taking things so personal, because if somebody is arguing with you and they are triggered by you, doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. Maybe it's not about you. Maybe it's not even about them, but about a program in the collective. A pattern that affects multiple people at the same time. And it's coming out through those personal quarrels that we have with each other. Now imagine what would happen if both you and them are recognizing what's going on. The conflict would be resolved in an instant. But chances are only one person or no person is recognizing what's going on. So there's a lot of this happening, people reacting unconsciously, not really understanding that they're dealing with a pattern and what to do about this pattern. And if you are repeating a behavior, if you're doing what you've been doing before, chances are extremely high that you are falling for it. You're doing something wrong. So just approach the situation from a childlike perspective. Like, I wonder what happens if I say this, and if I question this, and if I challenge this assumption. Are they going to react negatively? Yes. Does it reflect something about me? Well, maybe all that it says about you is that you are not falling for it. You are willing to step it up. You are willing to assert your mind. And if your mind is right or wrong, that depends entirely on whether or not you can live with the consequences. And a lot of people will not understand this. For most people, it will be about what's the truth, what's not the truth. But you see, this transit is not about the truth. It's about, can you live with your words? Can you live with disagreement? Or is the disagreement something that you can't live with and you hide it? Or, which is even worse, you assert it so vehemently, saying that your truth is the only truth, and if they don't submit to your truth, then they are bad people. When actually nobody has a monopoly on the truth. It doesn't really matter. That's not what it's about. But unfortunately, of course there is the truth. Yeah, I'm not doing spiritual bypassing here. And what the truth is, you may be right, you may be wrong, but can you assert that? Are you confident about your position? Or is there something about your position that's insecure? Where there's still a part of you that says, I wonder if maybe I'm wrong. Then maybe this is the time to find out, research, study, get more information before you assert a claim. Because lots of people, they will react harshly. They will, because there's a mass connection with the transit, I mean, what do you expect in Gemini? People be like, this is how it is. But actually, they haven't even done any research and they have no idea what we're talking about. So, yeah, don't be one of those. And if you want to get something positive out of this transit in terms of physical results, well, the most positive thing that you're hoping for is to get communication that's very, very stimulating. Because likely you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Lots of people could be gossiping at this time. Somebody could do some smear campaigning. Somebody could try to expose you and try to ruin your name. And if they do, you may be more defensive, more like, maybe I shouldn't give them more ammunition than they already have. Because chances are, there's a very strong temptation to just dish all the ammunition out that they need to brand you as the troublemaker. But if they do, it all depends. Are you healing when you give them ammunition? Is it actually a spiritual war? Or is it a war of words? Because this is the time when you recognize that you are in a war with words with somebody. Just stop participating. Don't get involved and pulled into too many arguments. Because there is an addictive tendency here. There's often addiction with Gemini. Because it's so stimulating. So there's a tendency to disagree just because you're getting a high from it. You're getting a dopamine rush. And you know what? You would be surprised just how many people do get a rush out of disagreeing with you, out of criticizing you. Like, look at me, I'm so important, I'm so controversial, I'm so free, I'm so rebellious. Like, yeah, it's good to be rebellious, but if you're doing it for a dopamine rush, what kind of master are you really serving? And is this master now in control? Because you always need another rush, and another rush, and another rush. So you will also see a pattern where people criticize you, or harass you, or gossip about you, because that's what they're addicted to. That's what gives them a high, right? They feel so good about bringing you down, like, yeah, I said what I said. Did you say what you say for the right reasons? Was it constructive criticism? Was it criticism that is intended to elevate and grow? Or was it criticism intending to control communication, to make it more rigid, to make the other person walk on eggshells? Because we have a lot of that going around. And people also being very much in denial. Like, no, I didn't mean that. You don't have to take everything so literal. Really? I don't? Maybe I should, because the energy is in Gemini. And Mercury is about facts. Communication is about facts. So what is the fact? Do I know what the facts are? Because if I do, I'm not going to fall for it when they're trying to gaslight me. But if I'm not sure, then perhaps I should do some more research and then get back to it. But it shouldn't be about convincing the other party that my facts are right. Because chances are, if they're gaslighting you, they don't really care. If somebody's gaslighting you and assuming the standpoint of, no, I didn't mean that, you're overreacting, is because they are trying to cover their tracks. trying to avoid accountability. Because if they really don't have a problem with upsetting you, they wouldn't try so hard to cover it up when you are being upset. So when you are being upset, are they willing to recognize that they have done something that is objectively upsetting you and anybody? Or do they make this personal? Do they say it's all about you, your sensitivity, you're so combative, you're so sensitive, you are so fragile, and now I can't say anything to you, so I'm not going to even communicate to you, blah, 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 so I will ghost you. When you're dealing with a cluster B type, you're dealing with an avoidant, you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with somebody who is very manipulative. Whether they're aware of it or not, is that really important? Why do you care what their intention is? If you know what the result is, because Gemini, Mercury, communication is about the result, the fact, the result, the result, the result. Because if we can't even agree on the result of somebody's actions, we can't agree on anything. Then everything goes. It's just interpretation. Everybody has their own truth. Everybody has their own perspective. I'm not really gaslighting. Maybe I'm gaslighting for you, but I'm not gaslighting for me. Then you know you're dealing with a manipulator. Somebody who tries to control what the truth is by saying, you don't have the truth, I don't have the truth, there is no truth, and you're being delusional if you are making a problem out of it. But if you agree with me, then suddenly it is the truth, right? So that's called a hypocrite. So it's all about recognizing that. As you're recognizing it, you're not manipulatable anymore. Because that Mercury yacht is all about facing the manipulation in others, where we are not sure. Like did she just say that to me? Am I being crazy? Let me talk to somebody about this. So if you're not sure if you're crazy, make your screenshots, share, ask other people for feedback. You don't have to rely on your own mind as the only authority. You can ask for clarification. But don't forget, we're living in the matrix. We're in a society where most people are so used to manipulation that they're desensitized to it. And if you are super sensitive and you're like, this doesn't sit right by me, that person was passive aggressive, and you show somebody else and they say no, they seem to be perfectly rational and reasonable, are you now being collectively gaslit? Are you actually being triangulated? And the source of validation that you were looking for has now become a source of invalidation. Could be. But Georgios, doesn't mean I can't trust anybody. Who am I supposed to trust? Trust yourself. But I'm not trustworthy. I'm just a little maggot. I'm like a cockroach. I'm like an ant in an ant hive. I'm like a Borg in a Borg cube. I don't have any authority. And therein lies the problem. If you can't even trust yourself, it doesn't matter what other people say. Because as within, so without. Those who don't love themselves will look for themselves and others. Those who don't trust themselves will look for their untrusty, what do I say? Their shadiness in others. If you are shady, and you subconsciously believe that you are shady, which is to say you are not trustworthy, How could you possibly trust anybody else? It's not possible. Because that would be insane. A crazy action. So when you're wondering, maybe I am going crazy. Maybe you are. Because you don't trust. You don't have faith that what you see, what you intuit, what you feel is actually happening. Like, my goodness, where's your reality testing, right? So Mercury yacht is also about reality testing. I wonder if this is real. I wonder if my perception of this is correct. So when I look for validation outside of myself, I ask judges via Astrology, I ask my friends, I ask my partners, I ask the community, is it that gaslighting me? But what if they are gaslighting you and your friends are not seeing it? That means you're always a victim. You're always at the mercy of others. And guess what a narcissist or an insecure person, just an insecure person, does? They look for validation. I like validation. Validation is important. We need some kind of reassurance. But we need to also discern. So we need to understand that we have senses. And our senses, they do actually work. Because guess what would happen if your own ears, your eyes, your nose, your antennas were not properly working? What if there was something wrong with you? Then you're screwed! Then there's nothing you can do. And of course, it doesn't matter what anybody says anyway, so this is a pointless loop. It's a loop. And some people, especially cluster B types, but also people who are attracting cluster B types, they have to deal with this loop in one form or another. And that's one last thing I wanted to add to this video. I know it's been long, but I think it's very important to just mention this, yeah? As an important blockage that could happen. In any case, this was my astrology update for July 28 until July 31. If you like this video and you found it useful, please leave a like and subscribe. If you'd like to see more videos on the like business in the future, stay tuned. And if you're interested in a personal reading, reach out to me at any given time. You can message me on private messenger or email, and you can check out my services and book a reading with me at any time. That being said, so thanks so much for watching, and see you in my next video.